Well, this man's voice is so rich, and to me he's completely in harmony with the whole of nature, and it sounds just liquid poetry.
I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree.
Paul Robeson. What's your second choice?
The second choice is Borodin's Polotzian Dances.
Why do you choose this?
Well, I think this is delightful, and it starts on a resounding note, and it fades away into mere nothingness.
Hartnell Dorati conducting the London Symphony Orchestra and chorus. Bill, where were you born?
North Devon, Seaton.
You come from an old Devon family, don't
Yes,
you?
I do, yes. A very old family. 300 years of us.
Any tradition in the family for the theatre?
None whatsoever.
Was the theatre your first ambition?
No, it wasn't. Actually, horses were. Race horses.
So what did you do about it?
Well, I ran away from school at an early age, having written to Stanley Wooden at Treadwell House, Epsom. Got myself a job as an apprentice with him to ride and to become a jockey. After, I suppose, a year or so, I suddenly started to put on weight, and Stanley Wooden said it wouldn't do, and he thought I ought to get out and take up another profession.
Yes.
So my second desire, an immediate desire, was the theatre. Naturally, I wanted to couple the two, but there it was, I was unable to do so.
How did the theatre come into your life? Had you seen a lot as a child?
I suppose I associated myself with a lot of reading matter, period of Shakespeare and other playwrights. And I was always in school concerts and things like that, and I was just mad keen on the theatre and horses, and those were the two things that I wanted in life. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way.
What was your first job in the theatre?
My first job in the theatre was, luckily, to be with Sir Frank Benson, Shakespearean actor and teacher, whom we all, of course, we all called at that period Pa Benson.
Yes. How long did you stay with him?
3 years.
And have you appeared in Shakespeare since?
No, I haven't, but I still want to.
Have you ever been asked to use your skill as an expert horseman in a film?
Never.
This is
Never.
show business. Well, when you left the Benson Company, what did you do?
Well, I was like any other actor, I suppose. I had to take a job on tour and earn my living the best way I could, which I did. I was on tour doing once nightly and twice nightly shows for 4 months a week and living in back rooms, you know. And,
When did you first appear on the West End?
Oh, that was a very modest entrance on my part. I think I was understudy when I first appeared, and you know, General Dog's Body.
Who did you understudy?
Well, I understudied such personalities as Ernest Truex in Good Morning Bill, which was a Robert Courtney's production, and Rafe Lynn in his light comedies and farces, Lawrence Grossmith, Charlie Heslop,
Yes.
Flanagan and Allen, of course,
Both of them?
Bud and Chairs, yes, oh yes, yes, in the Cochrane Show, Home and Abroad, and played a small part in it.
Yes. So this was the pattern for the first few years?
Yes.
Steady, fairly unspectacular.
Yes, and stage management, and assistant stage manager, you know.
Yeah.
And learning to paint scenery and all the general vicissitudes of associated with the theatre.
Well, let's break off for another record. Number 3, what next?
I'd like to hear the Kreutzer Sonata with that superb violinist playing, Menuhin.
Why do you choose this?
Because I just love this man. I think he's a great genius, and I love his music. I love his conducting, anything about him.
Part of the second movement of Beethoven's Kreutzer Sonata, played by Yehudi Menuhin, with his sister Hepzibah accompanying him. What was your first film appearance, Bill?
Well, that I can't remember the very first. But I must admit that I was 2 years in the crowd before I was ever allowed to appear in a film.
Yes. And you did quite a lot of quota quickies in the bad old days.
Oh, yes, numerous
British films.
Quickies of those days, and whereby that you had 10 pages of dialogue in one take, and if you fluffed, or you had to ad-lib and carry on.
Yes, no retakes.
No, couldn't afford it. No.
Mm-hmm. What do you look back on as your first big break, your big opportunity in films?
Well, that, I should say, would be Cal Reed's film, Way Ahead.
In which you played the tough sergeant?
I played the tough sergeant, yes, Herbert.
Mm-hmm. That's an excellent film, that. It made a great impact. It's still being shown, I believe, as a training film.
Yes, so I believe.
And The Way Ahead led to you being typecast for years. If anyone wanted a tough sergeant, send for Hartnell.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Now, in your own army career, before you were invalided out during the war, were you a sergeant?
No, I wasn't. Wasn't even a corporal.
Now, which of your tough performances do you like to remember, apart from The Way Ahead?
One other film, which I was very glad to be in, was Richard Todd played the lead in it. It was made by Wilcox, and it was called Yangtze Incident. I was the coxswain of the boat, and it was the actual story of the Amethyst.
Yes. You were also being a tough character on the stage as well as on screen.
Yes, quite often, yes. You were talking about Seagulls over Sorrento.
Oh, that went on for a long time. You
4
were,
years.
What, a tough petty officer?
That's right, yes.
Let's have record number 4. What now?
Well, now, let's have El Alamein Concerto, recording by Jack Payne. It's the whole story of the Battle of El Alamein in music.
The closing passage of the El Alamein Concerto by Albert Arlen, Peggy Cochran as soloist with Jack Payne in his orchestra. Now, Bill, this tough sergeant image of yours, as well as persisting in the theatre and in films, also extended into television.
Yes.
They gave you a rather awkward squad to look after.
Yes, I'm afraid they did.
The Army Game?
The Army Game, yes.
How long were you with that?
I stayed with it for the first year, and then I thought I would give it a rest and then try and do something else. I was away from it for 2 years, back making films, and then I, quite by accident, met the producer again in the train, going home one evening, and he asked me if I'd come back to the show. So I said yes, had a price, and he agreed, and I went back for another year.
And lately you've made an enormous success in a television part that's very, very different.
Yes, very different. Very, very different.
Now, how did this happen? How did Tough Hartnell become this gentle, absent-minded professor?
Well, all my life I've wanted to play an older character in films, or a play, and I've never been allowed to, except just on the one occasion prior to being offered this part, Doctor Who. After the second reading, I was given the part of this old boy in Sporting Life, whereby the lead was played and shared with Robert Harris and Rachel Roberts, both superb artists. And I was just playing this sort of bone-idle, out-of-work, on-the-dole, ill old man called Dad, who had a great ambition in life in himself in his earlier days to be a rugger player and to be a good professional player and make a success of his life. And unfortunately, he ended up, as it were, in the gutter and rather an ill, useless old man. But in this boy, he saw something of himself.
Yes.
And therefore, I think he used his influence with the club managers and associates to give him a chance.